Welcome, everybody, to the newest episode of Ready, Set, Rewatch, where we are boldly going to continue our trek to watch Star Trek The Original Series. This is the Season 2 finale, the last two episodes, and I, Skyler, am here with my co-host and best friend, Daniel.
What's up?
Daniel, how excited are you to be finishing Season 2?
Pretty excited. Pretty excited.
Well, I mean, to be finishing Season 2, pretty excited. To be watching these two episodes, less excited?
I liked one of them. I liked one of them quite a bit, actually.
I want everybody listening, you too, Daniel, to close your eyes
Yeah.
and picture, if you will, Roman soldiers,
Yes.
fascist governments,
Okay.
Big Brother's always watching,
True.
television broadcasts, a rocket launch, and a backdoor pilot to a different show.
I thought so. I didn't look it up, but I was pretty sure. It felt pretty obvious.
Today we're talking about bread and circuses and Assignment Earth is what the title of the backdoor pilot one is called.
Yeah.
Let's get into it with bread and circuses. Daniel, do you like bread or circuses? This is the kinds of questions that our friend Bro would ask on his
Yeah.
show.
Really great question. Thank
which one do you prefer, bread or circuses?
And thank you so much for asking. If I had to choose, I only get one for the rest of my life. I'm gonna go with bread for sure. Important staple of my diet. If I had to choose one to do like tomorrow, circus. Yeah, I haven't been to a circus in fucking years. I'd love that. It'd be cool.
Well, they have both in this episode.
They do sort of. Yeah.
In a way they do, but in another more important way they don't.
It's because in Rome they called any arena a circus. So like
Is that true?
Yeah, so like the Circus Maxima was a kart racing and gladiatory arena. It wasn't like a circus. It was where they were like putting on, a circus show as we would think it. But it's like
interesting.
Yeah. So technically the Colosseum, I think, would also be a circus. You'd have to ask like a ancient architect or whatever the fuck, a historian, if that's true. But yeah.
I think if I remember correctly, the real reason this episode is called Bread and Circuses is it goes back to
what's a quote, isn't it?
It is a quote, and I don't remember what it's from, but it's referencing about fascism and bad things. It's just like, well, if you give the people bread and circuses, then they'll turn a blind eye to the rest. Something like that.
Yeah.
If as long as you give them food and entertainment, then they won't pay attention. Which that's what we do here in our country, isn't it? So
yeah.
We got our McDonald's, we got our Supergirls in theaters now. Oh, I just dated the episode.
If you give them McDonald's and an MMA fight on the lawn of the White House, they'll forget everything else.
Further dating the epic. We are recording this on the 4th of July, 2026.
You don't know that could have happened years ago.
It's all right.
And we're still referencing. Anyway, hey, bread and circuses.
Let's talk about Star Trek.
Yeah, hell yeah. It starts with the crew of, get this, the Enterprise. I know, you would have thought maybe it was a different ship this episode. Not so. This one?
Maybe that's the next episode.
Mayhaps. They come across the destroyed remains of the SS Beagle, which is not a Starfleet ship. It's like a merchant ship or some shit. I didn't really fully catch what it was.
It's also not a dog.
No, not a dog. In fact, a starship. Or a spaceship.
Would the SS Beagle be Snoopy's doghouse that he flies around and fights the Red Baron on?
Yeah. Is Snoopy a beagle?
Yeah.
He doesn't really look like one. Or beagle, because beagles are white.
Snoopy's a beagle.
I'll take your word for it. You would definitely know better than I would, but you don't look like one. That's all I'll say. He looks like one of them Target dogs.
I can double. Oh, he does. I don't remember what that one's called.
His name is Bullseye. In the records, they don't see any bodies, so they're like, something crazy happened. Also, apparently, the ship crashed 6 years ago, because when he asks them to track it back, he says, what would happen if it drifted in the same direction at the same speed for 6 years? I'm like, we're just now looking into this? It was 6 fucking years ago. So, hey, and on top of that, Spock also tells us, you'll never guess it, but the ship was captained by someone Kirk used to know.
Uh-oh. That doesn't have a good track record on this program.
Oh, they're always great people with great ideas about American or Earth history. Anyway,
it's shocking how many times this has happened.
It's almost like maybe Kirk also has bad opinions and we just haven't seen that yet.
Oh, man, you think he's done some cancelable offenses?
I think it
Possibly.
has Shatner because I believe it.
You know what? I'm not gonna throw that out willy nilly. I'm gonna say I don't know.
That's fair. Anyway, this guy's name is Merrick. That's the guy we're looking for, and his 45-man crew. So they follow the debris back to some planet that's exactly like Earth, but it's pre-nuclear. And then Uhura picks up a television broadcast that shows the police arresting slaves. They say otherwise well-treated and intelligent slaves.
They are very quick to use the word slaves,
Really
so we
threw that
know.
one out. Yeah. And then cuts to two people fighting in gladiatorial combat, and we go, "Uh-oh, we're doing a Rome."
It's so funny how they're fighting on what's a bad little set, but later, without I don't want to spoil it, but I'm gonna. It's supposed to be a bad little
It
set.
actually is just a bad little set. Yeah,
That's crazy.
so smart, intelligent choices. The commentators for the fight, who sound exactly like the commentators for like an old MMA fight or a boxing fight or something, which is good work. Those ones. Name one of the fighters, Harrison.
Wish it had been Gorilla Monsoon and
Would have
Jesse the
been
Body Ventura.
this would have been, I honestly,
This is 20 years too early, but I mean,
yeah, well, yeah. Gorilla Monsoon is probably wrestling at this point, though.
oh yeah, probably.
The commentators name one of the fighters Harrison, which Spock links to a crew member who's missing, and they're like, they're clearly for sure actually there. But I guess they've been there for 6 years, and Harrison is still fighting in the arena, so I guess he's really good at it.
Kirk could be a rerun.
could be a rerun. And then we get the intro. We gotta go to Rome, Earth. It's gonna be great.
There's slaves on Earth too.
Every time it feels like every time we go to it's Earth, but the but includes some kind of fascism and or slavery, and it's crazy.
It's shocking how often fascism creeps up.
It
really sneaks up on you.
Sneaks up on you. If that was a gun, I'd be dead. Kirk, Spock, and Bones, our terrible trio, beam on down to just outside the city. And as they walk, they talk about angels. I don't know. It's not really important. It's basically just them distracting us for long enough for them to get shot at.
Yeah, I wrote Bones is grumpy today because he was just like lashing out on everybody as they were walking.
He was.
Spock said something and he was like, "Shut the fuck up, pointy ear bastard." He's like, whoa, Bones. Come on.
Because he's talking about angels or something, and he's like, well, with your pointy ears, you wouldn't be a fucking... I don't know. Is it a thing that devils have pointed ears? I've never heard of that, but maybe.
But until this show where like they reference it all the time.
It's like every episode, yeah.
Yeah, it's clearly, I guess... Well, I mean, if you look up like older artistic renditions of Satan, like the red guy,
sure, yeah,
tail, pitchfork, he's got pointed ears, doesn't he?
Yeah, probably. I wouldn't say
it's the tails and pitchfork that your eyes go to first.
I wouldn't say it's his defining quality.
Here, let me just Google Satan really quick.
I wrote here that Bones has never looked more like a family member of mine. There's something, I think maybe it's because he's in the harsh light of day and it's like causing him to scrunch up his face and look really grumpy. But he looks so much like my dad's side of the family in this episode. It's fucking crazy. Like if you just superimposed DeForest Kelley into the back of a McGartland family reunion photo, no one would even notice. He would just be there.
So maybe the McCoys and the McGartlands share some family history.
God, I hope not, because he's a questionable man sometimes.
You know, I'm going to say in a handful of these Google images of Satan, he does have pointy ears. And the one I just came across is Satan from South Park, who also has pointy ears. So
does evil Homer?
He's just got the horns.
He's got the horns, yeah. So they get shot at.
We gotta talk about the episode. It's not important. I was gonna say his Fortnite skin. You could see his ears through the side of the suit.
That's true. That is true. I have that skin. They get shot at by some buff dudes with rifles who say that they will take them to see Septimus because we're in Rome, so of course there's a guy called fucking Septimus. Guess what? There's a Claudius and a Flavius too. So we're just in the producers. That's just what this is.
Need to talk about the gym t-shirts and jean shorts elephant in the room.
Yeah, they look like they're wearing like public school uniform PE kits for sure.
Yeah, a little
Except
bit.
they're
They have little like chains printed on the T-shirt
yeah,
to
spoilers, these
symbolize
are
that they are slaves.
yeah, they're all escaped slaves. So there's a little like printing of 4 or 5 like chains or like links of chains across the like collar of the shirt because we got to get chains in there somehow. We got a whip later, so Rihanna's
Because we
excited
could iron
somewhere.
those on in an afternoon.
Yeah, honestly. Anyway, so they take him to see the Septimus guy, and the biggest and buffest guy, it turns out he's named Flavius. He really wants to kill him, but Septimus is like, nah, man, the sun says that we don't kill people. And everyone's like, yeah, all right, yeah, that makes sense. Kirk proves that they are not, I said Roman, but I guess everyone here's Roman, but not part of the people who they escaped from, the Roman senators or whatever.
I wanted to mention.
Yes.
There's when the slaves get the drop on our main three, there I think Spock says like, they speak English on this planet. And I'm like, have they not spoke fucking English on every planet we've been on so far? What do you mean? Why are you surprised by that?
There's a weird bit, and I don't write it down in my notes a lot, but yeah, he does spend an annoying amount of time at the first third of this episode being like, it's just like Earth. Oh, it's just like Earth. It's just like Earth.
That's his thing.
About just like everything.
We're supposed to know.
Yeah, well, we got that from the fact that the fucking Romans are here. So
I got it from the fact that when we were up in space, it looked exactly like Earth.
It was stock footage of like Earth. Anyway, he's trying to prove that they're not part of the city Romans. So he uses his communicator to call up to Scotty to scan and say how many people are around him. And then he's like, that's my ship at sea, the Enterprise. This technology, your senators don't have it. So clearly we can't be them, which I think is frankly kind of a weak way to prove you're not part of a group. But
if the D20 roll is high, then the D20 roll is high. What can you do?
I think Septimus wanted an excuse to not kill them, frankly. So it all worked out. Anyway, Spock finds a magazine in the cave that the slaves are hanging out in that shows a bunch of products that are themed after Roman gods. There's a Jupiter car and a Mars toothpaste and like Neptune bath salts. And I was like, all right, that's kind of cool, actually. I kind of enjoy that.
Let me hit you with a little bit of fun fact for this car that you see in the magazine.
Yeah.
Better to talk about it now than it is later. So the Jupiter 8 car was I guess I'll call it a famous car. The history behind it was that just some like model trade show guy, I don't know enough about cars and car history to give you all the crazy details about it, but long story short, somebody was like, hey, what if we designed a car out of aluminum that looks like a future car, I guess. And then they were like, all right, cool, I'll do that. And then they did it. And it's called the Reactor. Is the name of the car. And it made multiple appearances in television. It was obviously in this one episode of Star Trek. It was in an episode of Bewitched. The episode was called Supercar.
Nice.
It was an episode of Batman.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Knight Rider. I really did.
No, unfortunately not. The last thing that it has listed here was Mission Impossible.
Mm.
So, 4 really big shows.
For sure. Yeah. That's pretty cool. It also, I thought it looked a lot like the cars from Fallout. I thought it looked, it's, I guess, from kind of the same era, like the design principles at least.
Maybe.
I think it kind of looks like a Corvega.
I wonder if they drew any visual inspiration. I'd have to look that up. I'm not going to do it now.
If you were looking for like 50s/60s futuristic concept cars, I bet that one comes up.
Almost certainly.
So, anyway, Septimus says those gods that the things are named after are fake gods and they only worship the sun. And everyone's like, yeah, all right. And we just move on from that and ignore it. And it doesn't come up until the end of the episode again.
See, but it's clever because all the gods are also named after planets in the solar system.
Not this solar system.
Oh, see, that's less clever than...
It just doesn't make any fucking sense. They're on the other side of the fucking galaxy. And all their fucking products are named after Milky, or not even Milky Way, like our solar system.
What? Surely.
It is Milky Way, but Milky Way is a lot bigger.
All right, riddle me this, asshole. What came first, the planets or the gods?
You'd have to ask a Roman.
Mm-mm.
I think, well, the gods, I guess, but the gods were Rome stole their gods from Greece, obviously,
Them
and
at
then
gunpoint.
renamed them after, or renamed them what they also named the planets. I could not possibly tell you what order that
As
happened
far as
in.
I'm concerned, the planets are just the big eggs that the gods hatched out of.
Right. That's some Cthulhu shit right there.
Mm-hmm.
So Kirk asks Septimus if they know about the guys that they're looking for, and they're like, nope, we definitely haven't heard about anybody else coming from the fucking sky or whatever he was trying to tell them. But then when he says the name Merrick, they're like, Merricus? That dude sucks ass. I hate him. And they're like, oh, fuck. And then they're specifically like, if you're from where he's from, we're probably going to have to kill you. and then that kind of gets dropped immediately, and we just kind of forget about that line. But basically, the end of this conversation is they decide to dress our boys up in the slave costumes too, and then let Flavius lead them to the city so that they can try and meet Mericus, because that's where he is. They call him, what is he, like the first citizen?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Basically.
On the way, we've learned that Flavius used to be an extremely popular and successful gladiator, but then he stopped wanting to kill people because he heard the word of the sun, and now he doesn't want to kill people anymore. But before we get the entirety of that story, some of the stormtroopers from Spaceballs shoot at them and capture them. I say this because they have big, dumb, like ball-shaped helmets.
They do.
Which do have the Roman eagle on the forehead, which unfortunately a lot of Roman iconography was also co-opted by the Nazis, so they do kind of look like Nazis.
Yeah, well, we've already dealt with Nazis in this show, so it's fine. It's the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's not far off. We see some stock footage of a city as they get taken to a prison, as is tradition. We have to be locked up. And Kirk tells the guard to go get Mericus and tell him that Kirk's here and wants to talk to him. And he pulls the old, but if you're wrong, then he'll kill you trick. They're like, if you don't tell him I'm here and he finds out later, he'll beat your ass. Which of course works. While they're waiting, Flavius explains to them that slavery became like very widely. He's basically trying to explain like people who are slaves like aren't really all that upset about being slaves anymore. It seems like that's kind of what he's saying. He's like, it comes with like fucking health benefits and you get pensions when you get old now. And it's like, oh, so it's kind of a job, but it's like a class-based job. So it's like, but you are a slave. Like you're still, but hey, but you still can't like leave. You're not allowed to go where you want. You're a slave.
Very clear why Spock really wants us to know that this is just like Earth.
Yeah. Well, and also Spock does a really not great thing here where he's like, yeah, it makes perfect sense. He's like, that's super logical. I get slavery. Yeah, totally makes sense.
That works.
It was like, okay, Spock.
Right,
he didn't
Spock,
mean it like that because Bones gets onto him and he's just like, yeah, no, I mean, it makes sense that like that's how it would evolve. But the way that it comes across at first is like, okay, Spock, sure, man. Spock and Bones complain to each other about the logic of it. And then Flavius asks if Bones and Spock are enemies. And Kirk is like, I don't know. Maybe.
That's a good question. They've been fighting a lot today.
The guards come back and take Flavius off to the Coliseum. They're like, hey, man, we've been missing you and our ratings are down. You're our John Cena. We got to get you back out there. And he's like, I don't want to. And they're like, too bad, buddy. And then our boys do a rope-a-dope and knock out 3 of the guards before being immediately surrounded by Merrick and like 6 more guards. So it didn't really work, but we had to do the thing that we've done in every other episode where we break out. But just this time it didn't work. So that's, I guess, refreshing.
Yeah, it's like a new record. We stage an escape and then they're recaptured before we even leave the prison cell. Like we're
Merrick is there and he's like, this is my counselor, and it's this fat guy named Claudius who he's got one of those, it's my least favorite physical trait a human being can have, but it's that chin that's just always wet with like spit and grease.
Ooh.
It's disgusting. It's disgusting, and it's like it only comes from rich fat people.
Yeah, he's perpetually got a turkey leg in his hand.
Exactly. But Merrick says, hey, Claudius knows that we're from space, so anything you say to me, you could say in front of my boss. I'm unclear what the relationship here is, but they end up going to a little side room, and then Merrick says, he tells them what happened. He says the SS Beagle took some meteor damage and they had to beam down to the planet. And then the counselor offered Merrick a leadership position, so he immediately sold out everyone on his ship into slavery.
Hmm.
he sugarcoats
Well
it a lot, but that's what he says. He asked that Kirk do the same. And to my point, I was going like, why do you want the people of the Enterprise brought down here just to be slaves? You've clearly got tons of them. I don't know that you necessarily need more.
Yeah,
you don't. You specifically say you don't want their technology because you tell Bones that he can't go and like help the medicine be better. So you don't want the technology. You don't want the power. You don't want the guns even. You just want the slaves. You just want them to be beamed down the people.
Do they want that? They call all the spacefaring people. They call them barbarians. Do they want more barbarians for the gladiator pit for the ratings?
Maybe,
Because
but
all
then
the other ones are dying.
it's also like Merrick's
Dead?
not stupid. He knows that if the fucking Enterprise goes missing, other people are coming.
That means more barbarians.
I guess.
It took them 6 years to get here.
I guess so, yeah. At this point, they keep using the Prime Directive against Kirk, and I'm like, he's broken the Prime Directive so many times. He don't give a fuck.
He doesn't know who he's fucking with. He's broken it like six times this week.
He's like, oh, well, you could shoot us all with your phasers, but that would break the Prime Directive. Or you could shoot us from space with the Enterprise, but that would break the Prime Directive. And he's like, we've done both of those things, actually, on other episodes.
True.
We've done that a lot, actually. So they tell him to beam his people down. They point guns at his head, because we got guns here, just to set the time period. We have, like, Uzis. And he, again, refuses. But he tells Scotty that it's a code green and hangs up. So they drag the three of them off to the games, and we get a commercial break. And then Scotty gets a captain's log, which I think is his like second or third. So he's coming up in the ranks.
Yeah, we've seen.
And he says that code green, get this, it's a code word that means that they are in trouble, but they don't want people to interfere. Right. So he's like, okay, so I have to do something to help, but I can't do anything to help because Kirk doesn't want me to. So then they start trying to figure out what that means, and that's what they're going to be doing for basically the rest of the episode. So he decides that he's going to interfere in some way, but just a little bit to scare the people below. So I don't know. We'll see. But they go to take Bones and Spock and Kirk to the games, which turns out is not in a coliseum of any sort. It's on a real shitty little soundstage in some backlot, I guess, where they do like a wrestling intro and they bring out Spock and Bones with some Lego shields that are painted bright red and bright blue. And then they bring out two just real ass gladiators. And I was like, you couldn't give them like a helmet or something? And it's, man, I don't know. It's extra funny because like the swords could not look more fake if they tried. They are short and shitty and rubbery. They don't bend a bench, I guess, but they look fake as fuck.
Yeah, it is not our best combat choreography.
No, they're mostly. To be fair, three of the people in the fight don't want to be in the fight because one of the gladiators that they had to fight is Flavius, and the other one's some dickhead named Achilles. So three people don't actually want to fight, so they're just smacking each other's shields to make it look good, I guess. And then Achilles is out there fighting Spock and being a dickhead.
Yeah, to me, it's so visually strange to see Spock stroll out in a t-shirt.
Yeah.
I don't know what the shot. He looks like he's in his gym sweats. Big stupid colored red and blue shields, and as you said, like the high school stage play swords.
Mm-hmm.
And then the gladiator armor doesn't even look very gladiator. It looks like almost pseudo Mad Max gimpy.
A little bit. Yeah, it's not great. The helmets are okay if I remember right, but yeah, the rest is just very cheap.
The Centurion armor looks good. It looks like what you'd expect.
It looks like what you expect. It doesn't look at all like what Romans actually wore, but it looks like what they wore in The Producers, which is what this feels more like.
Yes, that's twice. Happy birthday, Mel Brooks. He just turned 100 as of recording.
Watch your favorite Mel Brooks movie and not Robots. Watch
Robots. He's big weld in Robots.
There's so many other movies that he did that were so much better.
Absolutely. Oh my God. Daniel, I kid you not, Mel Brooks is going to come up again later in this discussion.
Oh yeah? I can't wait. So here's what's happened. Merrick and Claudius are forcing Spock and Bones to fight in the games to try and force Kirk to bring the rest of the crew down to fight in the games. Does that make sense? So that because I was trying to figure out what their plan was, because it didn't make any sense to me. Is they're like trying to convince Kirk that he needs to bring his people down so that they can fight to death in the games. And in order to pressure him into bringing more people down to fight in the games, they're like, and we're going to make these two fight in the games first. So is the thinking that he will choose those two guys over his entire crew of 400 people?
Yeah,
is that their plan?
So because they are rich people in power in a fascist government, which implies selfish behaviors, which means that they're like, Kirk, you like these guys better than your other crew members, right?
400 crew members, yeah.
Yeah, so
it's like it's the most poorly thought out trolley problem I've ever heard of. It's basically
you let us kill everybody, or we'll kill these two. Anyways.
Yeah.
Hey, wait a minute.
Wait.
I don't know.
If I bring down everybody, will you not kill these two?
No, you're all going in the pits.
Well then, so it's everyone or just the three of us?
Yeah, but it's the three of you now, or come on, just do it. I just don't understand how it was ever going to work. It doesn't, for the record, but I don't know how they thought it was going to work. So Spock, Bones, and Flavius don't want to fight, so they're just kind of hitting each other on the shields, as we said earlier. And Claudius is like, "Ooh, isn't this gross, Kirk? Ooh, this is so much violence." And he's like, "I've actually been in a lot of death games in recent episodes. This isn't that impressive to me." He's like, "Oh, you're just trying to lie." And I'm like, "No, it was really like that really happened in a couple episodes. He was really there.
We just did that on Triskelion like not that long ago. And it was frankly more violent. There's a fucking caveman in that one. That was crazy." So I don't know. He's like, "I've had to choose men to die," and he's like, "No, you haven't. You're lying." And I was like, "No, they did that too. That happened in the amoeba episode. That did happen, and we've done this. Yeah, no, this actually like is a week off. This is easy work for our boys. They've done all this shit." So Spock knocks his guy out with a neck pinch. He knocks his guy out and then he neck pinches Flavius. So the fight's over, but he wasn't apparently allowed to interfere with the other fight, even though it was introduced as a tag team match of these two guys versus those two guys. So you're like not allowed to. So
they, at one point, Kirk asks, he's like, because he knows Spock's got his fight.
He's gonna wait. He's Spock,
but Bones is a non-combatant, so he's like, "Hey, so if Spock wins his, is he allowed to go help the other?" And then somebody says like, "Theoretically he could, but on our planet we let people fight their own battles, so we'd be against it." Like, oh, okay, but that's what he does anyway.
I don't know if anyone even told Spock that. Not that it would have stopped him, but like, I don't know. Anyway, they get mad that they do it, so they point a bunch of guns at Spock, and they're like, should we kill him? And I thought they were going to do the thumbs up, thumbs down gladiatorial thing. But he's basically, Claudius is like, but if I kill him, then I don't have him to use as a weapon against you. And it's like, okay, well, you probably shouldn't have said that out loud, because now we know that you're not going to kill us. Now
you can't kill him. Yeah.
So,
idiot.
So they lock him up again. And Kirk gets sent off to different, nicer quarters where he is left with a slave named Drusilla, who, get this, hot blonde lady, who's been told to do whatever he wants. And Kirk resists for about 30 seconds, thinking, I guess, that it's a trap. But we get a brief cutaway where Spock is looking for a way to break out of his cell while Bones complains. And then when we get back, Kirk is just eating and drinking and kissing the slave woman, which feels gross. Feels real bad.
Absolutely. It's bad. So the shot that we see is he's like on the bed with the slave woman and he's kissing her, and then the camera pans up to some candle sconces on the wall, and then there's a little time fade cut and the candles are like out, implying that it's been a long time.
It's the morning,
and we pan back down and Kirk's still there asleep, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
So
Captain James Tiberius Kirk just fucked a sex slave.
Yeah. Who was offered to him as a ploy.
Now, keeping in mind, when the camera pans back down, James Tiberius Kirk is still fully clothed.
He's still fully dressed.
His little t-shirt and gray jeans or whatever.
But the implication is clear.
The sex slave is not in the room anymore. So, technically speaking, if it's an absolute deal breaker for the characterization of James T. Kirk to have sex with a slave, then there's nothing to implicitly say that he did do it.
Yeah, but he did. I think he did.
But I hate to say it, pretty sure he had sex with a sex slave here.
Pretty sure. That seems to be what the implication is. And then in the morning, Claudius wakes up Kirk and tells him that he needs to die now, I guess. He's changed his mind. He's like, I have to kill you. I'm sorry. And he's also like, did you steal one of your communicators? One of your communicators went missing. That's going to come up in like 30 seconds. Don't worry about it. So, and then Merrick shows up and he basically just calls him a bitch and sends him off. I don't know. And then they take Kirk off to the arena, and you'd think it's going to be a fight. It's not. It's an execution. And as he's about to get stabbed, Flavius runs in somehow. Guess he got away. Somehow he got away despite being a slave, and immediately gets shot. And then Kirk steals a gun and fights his way out of the not arena, the soundstage.
I feel it's important. So Flavius gets gunned down.
Yeah.
And you're like, ooh, that's violent for Star Trek. And then Kirk grabs a sword and stabs a man to death.
Yeah.
And you're like, ooh, that's violent for Star Trek. This episode's violent for Star Trek.
There's a lot going on. I mean, there's no blood or anything, but yeah, it's pretty rough.
There's a little bit of blood, but not on this stabbing. On the next stabbing, there's a little bit of blood.
Yeah, that's true. So he runs to the cells and he shoots next to the lock, which is enough to open it, it turns out.
I wrote that too. I said Kirk shoots a gun next to a cell door, then opens it because it was unlocked.
It was unlocked the whole time. Also, not to bring science into this, the Mythbusters tested this. You can't open a lock that way, even if you did actually shoot it.
You can in video games.
True, sometimes. They then are surrounded and they're going to get shot, but then Claudius is like, but if you shoot, then you'll shoot us too, because they're on both sides. So draw swords. And so then they have a big sword fight that they are able to win, mostly our heroes. But then Merrick, near the end of the fight, does a face turn and calls to be beamed out. And Claudius stabs him in the back with a knife, which then, to your point, has some blood on it.
Violent.
But I think Merricus, Captain Merrick, he must have known that he wasn't going to make it, because he only called for 3 to get beamed up.
He did. Yeah, I think it was a
noble
sacrifice.
Can we call anyone in this episode noble? Maybe Spock.
Spock did have that conversation with Bones where Bones yelled at him and then Spock almost cried. So
yeah,
I don't know. Anyway,
our boys beam up before they can get shot, and then back on the Enterprise, they talked about how Flavius died and how it was sad. And they're like, it's weird that us usually in history, people who worship the sun are like pretty violent, which I guess is a dig at the Aztecs or whatever. And then Uhura's like, oh well, actually, I was intercepting their broadcast the whole time. They don't mean the sun S-U-N, they mean the sun S-O-N, as in Jesus Christ.
God bless us, everyone. Merry Christmas.
The Son of God. To which I said, oh, fuck you. Because Kirk and our white boy cast, they're like, so everything's about to turn around. It's about to get way better in slave-filled Rome. Even though historically, that's not what Catholicism did to Rome. It only made Rome worse.
I guess it'll all work itself out.
But
that's the thought process they have as they fly away from this little fascist planet.
Where they accomplished nothing. They didn't save anybody.
Why didn't he just read the Constitution again?
That's a good point, actually. I think that would have worked. Introduce democracy to fantasy Rome, space Rome.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like this episode. I mean, we're going to get into trivia. Spoilers, I don't like this episode.
You know what's funny? I was perplexed by this episode. And I was like, am I just watching this wrong, or is this actually a bad episode? Something that I don't often think. Normally I'm pretty confident in my dislike of things. But I looked it up, and there were like 2 different things that said, like, this was on a list of top 10 underrated Star Trek episodes, and then somebody put this on a list of top 10 like best Star Trek episodes. And I'm like, ain't no chance.
Not a chance in hell. No. The episode after this is better than this, and I bet was not on that list.
Certainly not.
Yeah. So,
I mean, there's obviously the anti-fascism ideals that for caring. But we've done that already,
A lot,
also.
actually, a lot.
And better, a little bit. Not always, but better.
All of our characters come out looking worse on the end of this episode. Spock was like, slavery makes sense. It's logical. And then Kirk slept with a slave. And it's just not, it's just bad. It's a bad episode. I'm sorry. I hate to be the one to break it to y'all. It's not a good one.
All right. I'm going to give some trivia, and then we'll give our grade on this one.
Can you guess what it's going to be?
Put
in the comments what you think we're going to grade this one.
Ooh. So the coat of arms on the clothes of Claudius, he's wearing the coat of arms that belongs to William Shakespeare.
Oh.
Isn't that interesting? I don't know why, but he is. The caves
showman.
where the children of the sun hide from a handful of movies and television shows, but what I will say is that is the entrance to the 1966 Batcave.
Oh, okay.
Isn't that fun? All right, here's something that's not as fun, but something we keep stumbling across every once in a while. During the location shooting for this episode, producer who was new to the show, he was visiting the set, accompanied by Gene Roddenberry, and was immediately struck by the tension and bad atmosphere among the cast. Here's a quote. Shatner came around the corner, and when he saw Gene, he turned around and went the other way, and the cast was fighting too. All the actors complained to me about all the other actors.
I mean, I guess this would still be in the time period where they thought the show was getting canceled, so maybe like tensions were high. But yeah, unfortunately, we also know that our boy Shatner was being an absolute diva. So
he in most stories he's the root of all drama.
Sounds about right.
And we are to believe that most everybody else got along okay, but I don't know. The way he phrased all the actors are complaining about all the other actors, who knows? I wasn't there. But for the most part they got along after.
That's good.
I think by the time they were all doing the movies together, they were better. Except for maybe Bill, but who knows? That's it for this one. I'm gonna give it an illogical, as you'd imagine.
Same. Illogical.
Mostly because I think its biggest downfall is it's trying to balance too many different things. Like,
yeah,
stylistically. Like, there's guys in Roman Centurion suits, and there's guys in Spaceballs suits, as you said. And then we got Kirk in sweatpants. It's weird. And then, as you mentioned, the problem, the way to solve evil fascism is Christ the Redeemer. It's like, I don't think so.
Not historically.
No. So I'm gonna hit this one with an illogical. I think it really dips in the second half, but I don't think it started strong either.
No, yeah, the second half is definitely worse, but yeah, it's not falling far to get where it ends up.
But now let us move on to the season 2 finale, Assignment Earth.
Assignment Earth starts with Kirk in his captain's log, I guess, being like, we went back in time. I was like, whoa, hold on.
Hang on.
All right. Okay. I just needed a second to just comprehend this. So we can just do that whenever. I mean, I know, I guess we can because we've done it 3 times now, but damn.
We've done it a handful of times, once or twice by accident, but now we're just doing it on purpose. And I knew we were going to do it. We do it in one of the movies. But just to be so casually be like, yeah, we went back just to check.
We're back in time.
They say for like historical
research
study.
Yeah, they went back to 1968, which is probably around the same time this episode was being filmed, I had to guess.
Every time they go back in time, they end up in what was their modern day.
Yeah.
Whoa, shocker.
They're like, we went back to today so that we could find out how people survived. I was like, wow, shit must have been really bad in the almost 70s.
It's really bad now.
It's true. And then the ship starts shaking really hard because they're accidentally intercepting a transporter beam, which I guess is a violent thing now. And Spock says that the beam is coming from 1,000 light years away, which surprises everyone, but mostly Scotty, who says that's super not possible, even from the time period that that they're supposed to be in.
That might have something to do with the violent rocking of the ship. is that it's coming in from so far. But
Yeah,
maybe also like intercepting a transporter beam when your transporter's not currently on is like trying to drive your car with the parking brake.
maybe. Yeah, I just assume that it's the transporter this way from who this guy works like the ones from Galaxy Quest. So he's just slamming into the side of the ship, just covered in a goo box or whatever
With his cat.
with his cat. Yeah. So Kirk, Spock, and Scotty run on down. Well, Kirk and Spock run on down to the transporter room where Scotty already is, and they watch a dapper Bond-looking type man, or Bond villain-looking man, and his cat in a bedazzled collar appear in the transporter room, and then everyone looks around confused, and we get our intro.
Yeah, this actor, whose name I should have written down, but I didn't.
He's good for what it's worth.
He was in a lot of stuff. I can't place like any one thing to be like, oh, he's the guy from this, but he's in a lot of stuff.
He's from Gunsmoke, probably. I don't know TV shows
Oh,
from this
hang
time.
on, let me check. Let me check. Let's see if he was in Gunsmoke.
It's literally the only other old show I can think of. But I think that's even before this because Gunsmoke was black and white.
Boom! He was in Gunsmoke.
Yeah, hell yeah. I'm a fucking genius.
Gunsmoke was both before and after this. It ran from
No way.
1955 to 1975.
I guess later seasons of Gunsmoke must be in color then. I only watched like random episodes one time.
Yeah, here, let me just like list off popular shows he was on. Gunsmoke, The Twilight Zone, Bonanza,
I might have seen his Twilight Zone episode.
The Flying Nun. That does
Oh,
anything for you?
I think my dad used to watch that show.
It was probably on TV Land back in the day. Remember TV Land?
No,
The
I mean
channel,
kind
the
of.
television channel.
Yeah,
They played Mr. Ed and Gilligan's Island.
yeah, hell yeah.
What would they play now? Law and Order. But yeah, the actor's name is
Dawson's
Robert
Creek.
Lansing.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe. Robert Lansing, and he's just in a bunch of stuff.
Well, I prefer.
And the reason I was like, oh, I gotta look this guy up is because his voice was confusing me, because he sounds like Rod Sterling from the Twilight Zone.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, what's going on here? That's not. And then I looked it up, and he was on the Twilight Zone as well, in one episode. So that's fun, isn't it? It's fun how things work.
It all comes together. So the scary man, as I've written here, asks why they intercepted him, and Kirk's like, "Hey, security, can you come on down here real fast?" He asked who they are, and Kirk says that they are the Enterprise. And when pressed, he says that they're from Earth, and he's like, "No, that you're fucking not. Earth doesn't have you guys yet." And the man seems to know what's gonna happen in the future because he's able to say that they don't have this stuff yet, but assumedly knows that they will in the future. But then he's also able to identify Spock as a Vulcan just by visuals,
knows
which
who
being able to tell the
Vulcans
difference between a Vulcan and a Romulan, I mean, that's gonna take practice. So he knows some shit.
Well, at least he knows he's not a Satan.
Sure, yeah. He then says that he, the guy who we're going to later find out is named Gary, so I'm just going to start calling him Gary, says that he's from the current time, as in the 20th century, 68, but he's coming from a super far away planet, and he wants to save Earth, which Kirk is correctly suspicious of, because that sounds crazy.
Yeah, but would a crazy man travel with the mighty Isis?
He does introduce his cat as Isis and himself as Gary 7, implying that there's a Gary 6, who is, I guess, his dad.
Oh.
Kirk can't believe Gary, which is, and he asks for security to confine him, but Gary immediately overpowers both of them, and then somehow also Spock.
Yeah, he's really strong, I guess, and he also has the power to telepathically make a stage PA off camera throw his cat at people.
Oh yeah, I was like, what are you talking telepathic powers? But yeah, no, you're right. But he is taken down by Kirk hitting him with the phaser on stun, so he gets dragged off.
This is the loudest we've ever heard a phaser be as well.
Yeah.
Just want to say the phaser gets a couple shots fired off throughout this episode, and they all of a sudden sound very Star Warsy, not Star Trekky.
This episode is very high budget. It feels like there's a lot in this episode.
Yeah, man. I mean, the stock footage budget alone.
I mean, come on. As Kirk does this captain's log, the Enterprise orbits Earth, and specifically a now very famous part of the Earth. That's the Strait of fucking Hormuz down there.
Listen, you know,
I saw it and I was like, oh, hey, oh.
Star Trek is just evergreen, you know?
Yeah.
It's always relevant.
We're trying to
Talking
stop
about
World War
fascism,
Three.
we're talking about World War III. Spock in the last episode said 37 million people die in World War III. We got that to look forward to. The
They
Strait of
say
Hormuz. There's
Gary Seven says we're trying to stop World War Three, and then one of the next shots is a picture of the Middle East and the Strait of Hormuz, and I'm like, oh, God, Gene Roddenberry just like no shit, huh?
Does he say word for word in this episode we're trying to stop World War III?
He said he doesn't say it here, but he does say when he's yelling at his like assistant lady later, he's like, if you don't let me stop this thing, then in 6 minutes World War III will start. So yeah.
Oh, see, interestingly enough, we know that World War III is going to happen anyways because of what Spock said in the last episode.
So I guess we're delaying it.
I guess
Making it
delaying
less bad.
it to 2027.
I guess. Also, so we cut to the what's it called, briefing room, and Spock is just petting the cat now, and he's like, I like cats, I guess.
He's chill with the cat,
which is going to be really awkward later.
Weird that he's doing that. Yeah, it's weird.
This is also where I wrote a lot of the shots in this episode have not been remastered because there's a couple of shots where it's like it's still very film grainy.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I mentioned the stock footage. All of the stock footage that we see is just as it was.
Yeah.
And then all of the actual show production shots look much better. And so cutting back and forth, it's like, stop doing that.
Yeah. Sometimes it's a little jarring, but honestly, it makes me want to watch the show in just its original format a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe the next time I rewatch it, I'll do that.
Big old box television.
Yeah. In black and white. So in the briefing room, and Kirk and Spock are trying to figure out what's going on. And Spock says, if it's true that he's trying to, because he'd mentioned that he's trying to stop something terrible from happening. Gary. And so Spock is like, okay, well, what could it be? It could be there's an assassination, there's a coup in Asia, or there's an orbital nuclear platform being launched by the United States. And immediately I was like, it's probably that one, because that sounds the most like a thing that would involve our space people.
Also, considering that there's two very famous assassinations.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Neither of them were stopped.
So Kirk,
MLK and JFK
don't have a 3-letter name if you want to not get shot. It turns out.
Yeah.
Kirk calls Bones into the briefing room, but before he can get there, Gary, who is now Doctor Who, pulls a sonic.
He's got the sonic. Let me go off for a second.
Go off.
He's got the sonic screwdriver.
He's literally a sonic. He calls it what does he call it? The servo, but it's the sonic screwdriver.
Give a shit what he calls it. He goes, it's the same fucking thing.
So he points his sonic screwdriver at the force field of his prison cell, which also I just want to say, with how many times we've lost power on the ship, maybe a door. Maybe a door.
I would think a door. Yeah. A glass door, if anything, if you got to look in.
We've got transparent aluminum or whatever the fuck the windows are made out of.
That's what it is.
Put that shit in there. No, it's a force field that everyone seemingly can just walk through. Anyways, he walks out and he shoots the guard with the thing that makes him happy. I don't know what the fuck, but he's going to use it a lot.
I wish I had that.
And then Gary beams himself down to the Earth before anyone can stop him. And Kirk and Spock look on scared as we cut to commercial. After commercial break, which for me was a Pampers commercial, Gary beams into a sick-ass office with a bank vault that is, I guess, the receptacle for transporting. And he summons a computer out of a bookcase. And I was like, what is the budget of this episode? This is the coolest office I've ever seen. This is cooler than any room on the Enterprise. But he asked the computer to help him find the other 2 agents who are supposed to be on Earth, who I guess haven't finished their job that they were supposed to have finished by now. And the computer gives him all kinds of just bullshit and is honestly being sassy in a way that I was not expecting, and demands that he identify himself. So he does so. He calls himself a supervisor, a class 1 supervisor, and he tells the computer that he's here to help and he wants to stop them from launching the nuclear platform. So now we know that that's what it is. And he also says the other 2 agents are human descendants of humans that were taken from Earth 6,000 years ago, which I did a little bit of math, would have been like BC times. Like I mean, it wasn't hard math. That's like, I don't know where that is timeline wise. I don't think it's like we've just discovered fire, but it's not. It's like do we have the wheel yet? It's like in that window. So they took this alien species that presumably also took Gary 1 and then raised them through to Gary 7. It stole just like cave people. and was like, "These will be our tools for the future."
All right, so I found this information on the budget. Apparently, it was actually very, very tight
Really?
for lots of weird bureaucratic reasons. As for like licensing footage that they used, and I don't know, it says here that I mean, you'll notice we don't get a lot of extras in this episode.
There's a
Uh,
couple.
and the one we do, it says here, was paid, and this is just a Google thing, so who knows if this is how true this is, but it says was paid $84 for an uncredited role.
Makes sense. But he changes suits during the commercial break, so they had to buy him 2 different suits. That's expensive.
Yeah, that's true. The you can tell the budget definitely went into this little set, and that they were probably thinking, well, because we're gonna have to reuse this set.
Yeah.
This is gonna be his hideout. This is his bat cave.
Kirk and Spock then beam down to the Earth. Spock, of course, wearing a comically large beanie, which at some point in the episode is going to change into a bucket hat. But in the first shot, it's definitely like a big wool beanie. I don't know where the bucket hat came from. Anyway, Gary uses the food machine from Spy Kids to print himself a bunch of IDs from the police and the NSA and shit so that he can pretend that he's from here. And then a lady in a really bright dress comes in, and Gary thinks that she must be the missing agent, so I guess he's never met the missing agents. But
oh my god,
she's
it's
like,
Terry Garr.
I don't know what that means.
Her name is Terry Garr, the actress.
Yeah.
She sillies her way into this episode, and you're like, hang on, does she look familiar? Why, yes, she does, because she's in also a lot of stuff. This is her first major television role, but to tie it back into our Mel Brooks discussion, she's in Young Frankenstein.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Oh, it's my favorite movie of his.
Well, apparently not, because you watched Robots on his birthday.
I turned into a brar, or a friend, a brar, when you
yeah, that noise.
It's really good. Yeah, but here's something that interesting that I didn't know until looking at her filmography earlier after she showed up in this, was we just watched Batman Beyond with a brar for his podcast, the Brown Boy Wonders podcast.
Mm-hmm.
She's the voice of Terry's mom in Batman Beyond.
No way.
She is.
That's really cool. So she comes in and she starts talking with Gary for a while, and basically he like tells her to write a report about what happened, and then she goes to like type on the typewriter, and she's like, "Don't fucking use your fingers." And she's like, "What are you talking about?" And then it starts typing for her automatically, and she starts freaking out because she's from 1968, and he comes to realize that she is in fact just a normal person who happened to be a secretary for his alien agents, I guess, which I don't know what that relationship was. But this is also where I wrote in my notes, this is clearly a pitch for a different TV show.
Yeah, the only note that I put in my notes for basically this entire chunk of like 25 to 30 minutes was backdoorpilot.wav.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that's it's what it is.
Gary uses his sonic screwdriver to lock the door when this lady, who introduces herself as Roberta, by the way, I should throw that out there, tries to leave. And then he uses a cube-shaped green computer to scan her and tell us all about her. And it's telling us everything about her, right down to it's about to say something about a star-shaped birthmark on her when she runs over and slaps it to make it stop. Where do you think that star was?
Where
I bet it's on...
I mean, it has to be her butt, right?
It's got to be a butt cheek.
Yeah, it's got to be a butt. Yeah.
He says she can leave, but then he's like, if you don't care about your country. So I don't know why the fuck like he wants her to be there. It ends up working out, and like we were trying to make a TV show out of this, so I guess that's why. But like in context, it's like I don't know what help he thought she was gonna be. But then the cat comes out and is like, "Meh," and he's like, I'll be right there. Hey, watch the door. Make sure nobody comes in here. Don't let anybody into my office. She's like, okay. She's been through a lot today. And Isis brings him in so he can talk to the computer. And he learns that the other 2 agents died in a car accident, to which I wrote, Lillian James Potter died in a car crash.
A car crash? It's an outrage! Scandal!
Lillian James Potter? Like, that's literally, because that's his reaction, is like, our agents couldn't have died in a fucking, they're from space. They couldn't die in a car crash.
How could it happen? Well, it's because people on Earth don't know how to fucking drive. Let me tell you, Gary 7.
Yeah, apparently. Meanwhile, Kirk and Spock have located the office, and our secretary, Roberta, does her best to stop them. But in the process, while wrestling with Spock, knocks the hat off and is like, "What the hell?" And that pretty much ends the fight as she gets really confused. And then Kirk blasts the door to the office open with the phaser, leaving a big old scorch mark on the door that we haven't seen the phaser do before, I don't think. But before he can get to Gary, Gary escapes into the teleporting vault, which sends him to a missile launch site. And we get our second commercial. Kirk then plans to the rocket base, so now he knows where he's gone. And he asks Roberta where Gary is, but she says she already called the cops, who then immediately show up. And so Kirk and Spock run to the other room and get beamed back up to the Enterprise, but then take the 2 police officers with them on accident, which is pretty funny. We get a comedy bit where the 2 guys are on the Enterprise, and one of the cops is just like, "Charlie," like as if to be like, "Where the fuck are we, Charlie?" But they get quickly beamed back down to have a story that no one will ever believe for the rest of their lives. Meanwhile, at the rocket base, Gary has a run-in with a security guard, and he hits him with the happy stick and sits him down in a corner somewhere to be hopefully forgotten about for the rest of the episode. On the Enterprise, Kirk, Spock, and Scotty look at some stock footage of the rocket base and are trying to find him, but they're like, well, if we find him in the footage, then we'll be able to beam him up, but they assume that he must be inside somewhere, and they're right at this moment. So they beam back down to try and catch him, but the second that they get to the base, they are immediately caught by the same guard who has now woken up from his happy stick siesta and takes Spock and Kirk, for some reason, to the control room. Doesn't feel like the place where you would take people who broke into a military base, but sure, why not?
Well, see, maybe it being the same guard and taking him to one of the only sets we had shows just how tight the budget actually was.
Yeah, maybe. Gary has snuck. He sneaked into the base in the trunk of somebody's car as they went to check the rocket for the final checks before they launch it. So he's now sneaking around on the actual rocket itself. Meanwhile, Roberta is telling the green cube that she quits, but then accidentally hits the button that opens the secret teleporter vault and starts investigating it. Gary, now at the top of the rocket on a narrow beam, starts using the sonic screwdriver to mess with stuff on the ship, to rewire it in some way, while being talked to by the cat the entire time, which is a little cute.
Yes, but Isis, you need to shut the fuck up.
Is she doing a lot of meowing?
Too much.
Well, you got a lot of cats, so you're probably used to that.
Yeah, I've got a cat that looks almost exactly like Isis, except a boy. I'm assuming that Isis is a girl cat. He doesn't shut the fuck up either.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So Spock and Kirk are taking the control room, blah, 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 blah. But they're trying to talk to him, and they're just refusing to answer any questions whatsoever. Scotty is able to find Gary on the stock footage of the rocket, and he calls Leslie and another security guy up so that when he beams him onto the ship, they can shoot him. But as they start beaming him up, Roberta accidentally hits some button on the bank vault, which then instead re-intercepts Gary and brings him back to the office instead. At which point, the rocket then correctly launches out into space, but Gary is able to use the computer in his office now to take some amount of manual control of the rocket. Roberta goes for the phone because she's like, why is this guy trying to take control of of our American military rocket or whatever? But then he shoots it with the screwdriver and cuts the cord on it so she can't call anybody. And then he's like, all the doors are locked. You'll never get in. You'll never go away, or whatever the fuck. Yeah, I mean, we're in the home stretch here, but basically Gary is using the computer to make the rocket malfunction. Scotty tries to call Kirk to warn him about whatever's going on. Roberta hits Gary with some silver box that she finds on top of the desk to try and be a hero, I guess. And this is where Gary then yells at her. He's like, if I don't stop that rocket, then World War III is going to start. But then before that can resolve, Kirk and Spock beam out of the base and back into the cool office, where they then start having an argument with Gary and Roberta before realizing that they all want the same thing, which is for that rocket to not make it into space. So they let him blow it up. To which I was like, I feel like the Enterprise could have just shot it at any point, but sure.
Yeah. Hang on. Does the Prime Directive count if it's our own planet back in time?
We're also doing it anyway. We're gonna blow up that rocket one way or another. So Gary starts making his report on the auto typewriter, and now that the rocket has been destroyed. Roberta looks over to where the cat was a minute ago, but now it's a sexy lady sitting on on the couch and being a little huffy. And then Spock and Kirk are basically like, "Okay, have fun on your own show. We're gonna go back to space now," and they just beam away, and that's how the episode ends.
Yeah.
So
Fun.
that's Assignment Earth.
We all
did
had
it.
fun, didn't we? We did it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let me give you some fun facts about Assignment Earth. So, in that bit where he's 3D printing all those badges,
Yeah.
there's one for the National Security Agency, the NSA,
Yeah.
which back in the 60s was considered one of the worst kept government secrets, but it was not publicly acknowledged until 25 years after this episode was aired. That's
Well,
fun.
Star Trek knew about it. Gene Roddenberry, he knew.
So yeah, so as mentioned, Spock mentions all the events that occur that year or day or whatever. He mentions that the political assassination, and as I said, one of those were Martin Luther King, and the other was Robert F. Kennedy. I think I said JFK earlier, but it's Robert Kennedy, both in 1968. So pour one out for those two.
Who were not important enough to be this episode.
That's true. But you know what? We've already talked about how MLK has left his mark on Star Trek.
True.
By getting Nichelle Nichols to not quit the show.
Yeah. Which is good because now she's able to tell us about Jesus.
Yeah. The Son. The Son of
Son
God.
of God.
The script called for Isis the cat to make various cat sounds, as you'd imagine, and as we heard. But you can't get a cat to do that on command. And finding appropriate cat sounds is hard to do, like through stock sound, whatever. So what they did, smart thing to do, was they got Barbara Babcock, who was the actress doing the voice of the Beta 5 computer. They were like, all right, so thank you for finishing your script for the computer. Now can you just make some cat noises?
Hey, while you're here real fast, I just assumed it was the same actress who ends up playing the human version for 1 second, which I guess it could be the same lady.
No, actually, haha, there's a big old controversy about that. Not really, but there was people forever didn't know who that actress was because she was uncredited. And they were like, people who said like, "Oh, we think we found out which actress this was. It was this actress that played the lady that was a cat in Star Trek." But they were saying the wrong name, and she was like, "No, that wasn't me." And then we finally found out that it was I misplaced the name, but she was a model and contortionist. I think she doesn't contort here; she just wears cat ears. But
she turns into a cat. That feels like contortion.
Maybe if she could have been the cat the whole time. We don't know.
It's really impressive actress.
This episode features one of the first uses of stock footage of the first test launch of the Saturn V moon rocket. We know, but now we know exactly which stock footage it was.
Nice.
All right, these last two ones are actually interesting. First one being Gene Roddenberry apparently really loved his little Doctor Who ripoff idea. And when this didn't get picked up, he later reworked this story into a different pilot for a show. He changed it a little bit, I think, to an agent sent to Earth by benevolent aliens to shepherd humanity out of its childhood with help from a human. It was called the Quester Tapes in the 1970s, and that failed too. So nobody wanted this, ever. But Gene Roddenberry wanted it, but it didn't work.
He tried so hard.
And got so not very far. But hey, he has Star Trek. The last thing that I know you're going to pop off for was one of the cops in this episode was played by an actor called Bruce Mars.
Okay.
Who has been in one episode of Star Trek before. Can you imagine, can you think what it was?
Is he the one who caught Spock and Kirk?
I don't No, actually. I think he's one of the ones that gets beamed up.
Oh, then I have no idea. I didn't even look at their faces, really.
What if I told you he was in Shore Leave?
Is he the bunny?
He's not the bunny.
Is
He's
he the...
Finnegan.
Oh my god.
Your favorite little Irish sassafras guy that's running around punching Kirk in the balls or what have you.
My favorite probable gay lover of Tiberius Kirk.
But that's it. That's a wrap on this episode. That's a wrap on this season.
Wow.
After we grade it, of course. What are you grading this one?
I'm gonna give it an engage. I thought this was a pretty good episode. Like, I don't know that it's... Yeah. Thinking back on this season, I guess there haven't been that many great episodes, so this might sneak into my like top 5 or whatever we do. But as of right now, I don't know. I enjoy it. I think it's an interesting idea. I think obviously the budget's really high, and so a lot of the stuff looks really cool, which is, enough to elevate it a little bit for me, frankly, at this point. I really like Roberta. I think she's cute. I didn't need the cat. Cute. I think the cat is too much. And we just had Witch who turns into cat like 10 episodes ago or something. So I doesn't necessarily need that again. Yeah. And I also think it kind of like confuses things where you're like, oh, he's like an alien from space, but this is clearly like a magic thing. Like, I don't know what's going on here. But I guess if we had gotten the actual show, maybe they would have explained it, and it probably would have been these two girls fighting over him, which would have been crazy because they're both way younger than he is. But hey, it's the 60s. Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, I'd give it an engage. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
I think it's fun. I think it's cute. It's a little adventure. But I am going to defer from you. I'm going to give it an illogical just because the fact that it's a backdoor. Look at this new adventure that we're going to go on, and it doesn't get picked up.
Yeah.
I just think that makes it an entirely skippable episode of Star Trek.
Oh, it's definitely skippable. Yeah, for sure.
But I don't hate it by any means. It's not in my bottom 5 or anything, but I'm just gonna give it an illogical nonetheless. I will say though, this is subject to change. I do have the ability to rattle off what I have written down as my top 5 episodes for season 2. I know that you haven't been keeping that, but that's okay. I'm gonna do mine anyways.
I don't know. Maybe save it because I think last time we did it as a thing at the end of an episode of recap, so we might do that again here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Plus, I think by the time that we're done with season 3, we can fold all the seasons in like a deck of cards and pick what are the best episodes of Star Trek.
Absolutely.
But hey, guys, that's season 2. We're gonna be taking a little break from Star Trek just for a little bit, and we're gonna be doing other stuff. I don't know if we're gonna say what that is yet.
It's up to you. I'll leave that to be your decision.
It'll be a surprise when it comes out.
Nice. Well, guys, if you want to guess what that is, or leave a comment about what you thought about these 2 episodes, you could do so on both of our platforms, YouTube and Spotify. And we would love to see comments in both of those places, and especially for you to hit subscribe and share this with your friends and get all of your favoritist people in the door here so that we can grow this small little budding channel of ours into something with a sizable audience that we can start doing more exciting things with. You can follow the show on Twitter at rsr_pod. You can follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Daniel J. McGee.
You can follow me on Blue Sky at Skyler 8-Bit.
And until next time, everybody, let's see what's out there.
Let's see what's out there.
The game's just starting, the globe's so bright. Jump right in, everything feels right. Let's play, take a trip back in time where pixels and memories intertwine. Come on in, it's time to play. Let's rewind to yesterday. The fun begins, we're here to stay. Ready, set, replay. Yesterday, the fun begins, we're